This is my intro music. Welcome to the video. I hope you like it lots, so don't forget to subscribe and click the thumbs up button. Now let's react.
Hi, hello there, and welcome to another Para-Anthropology video. Ooh. We are on day 6 of the Paranormal Speedrun with Dr. Cayln Conrad. I am doing this intro a lot, so if I'm not getting through everything in every one of these videos, I apologize, so work with me. Yes, so if you are following along, God bless. I was doing a fundraiser on GoFundMe. I was doing a GoFundMe to get my PhD in Para-Anthropology, and thanks to all of you lovely people, I am fully funded. So we are working on our PhD in Para-Anthropology. Woo! So yeah, thank you guys very much for enabling my bad decisions in life. Thank you. I will be working on some videos not very similar, some videos inspired by, I guess that's the best way to put it, Dr. Conrad's videos here. Keeping in mind, I am nowhere near as skilled as Dr. Conrad, and though I have a very good editor, they can only do with what I give them, so welcome. Anyway, I want to finish up this series with Dr. Conrad. We are on day 6. I think the last 2 days I can probably cram together, so we're probably looking at maybe 3-4 more videos. So we're almost done is what I'm trying to say. And today's cryptozoology. Ooh. For those of you who donated to the GoFundMe, it's closed now, so no one else can donate. Ha ha ha. And you should have received a link for the Patreon. I think I will link the Patreon down below to replace the GoFundMe. So if you are not on the Patreon, you can link yourself over to it. I know where I'm going with this. Anyway, those of you who donated to the GoFundMe shouldn't need to. You should have a link to the Patreon, but it went to the email that you used for the GoFundMe. Right? Okay, good. For those of you who want to have access to the same material that the people who helped with the GoFundMe will have free access to, you can join the Patreon at a paid members level, or you can not and just have access to all the free stuff, which should be literally everything else except some behind the scenes stuff and some other things that I'm going to put together for the GoFundMe people. And I will be putting stuff up on there. There's already a one study with me video. I've got some more study with me videos I need to put up, and then I want to put up I just want to put up some other stuff to do with this. So there. But there's going to be a lot of crossover between the YouTube channel and the Patreon. So if you don't want to go to the Patreon, you're not really going to miss out on much on the free stuff. So there's that. And if for some reason this is the first video you've watched in the series, I don't know why, but here we are. We do have 3 core principles of para-anthropology, because over here we do real anthropology. Real para-anthropology. With our para credentials. I'm beating that one. I like that one. I'm keeping it. But we do have our 3 core principles of para-anthropology that we did come up with, we being the royal we. We've got our first principle of para-anthropology, which is the principle of haunted legitimacy. That is the idea of putting on airs using the trappings of actual academia or actual authority to give ourselves, the IMHS uses to give itself the appearance of being more legitimate, more authoritative than it actually is. It has a PhD program that I soon shall have one of. The principle of experiential, I love that word and I can't say it. The principle of experiential narrative sovereignty. This is basically the idea that the experience or the story of an individual trumps actual knowledge or actual data. When we were talking about aliens in the last video. So every story anyone's ever had about aliens is obviously evidence of aliens, even though there's no actual evidence of any kind of actual aliens. There's no archaeological evidence, there's no historical evidence, there's no scientific evidence of aliens. But there's tons of people who have stories, therefore aliens. Right? That's our second principle. And then the third principle is the principle of charismatic moral authority. And this one really is basically just like, basically it's the authority of the leader shall not be questioned. And if you question it, you, the questioner, are morally lacking. And I'm not trying to put anybody in a weird position here. I'm not trying to be like, we're a cult. I'm not trying to do that whatsoever. It's literally just the idea of anybody who is put in a position of authority. And this could be simply something as easy as, again, going back to the aliens. Joey says he was abducted by aliens. Joey is, I don't know, a 5-year-old. Because why not? And I, the skeptic, say, I don't believe you were abducted by aliens, Joey. Can you tell me more about it? Now, I am morally deficient because I am questioning Joey, because Joey is the authority here. He's the charismatic leader here. Now, he's a 5-year-old telling me a story about being abducted by aliens, and I, the adult, am questioning him about that. But because we want to believe in aliens, and Joey is reinforcing that belief by giving us a story about aliens, I am the one who is challenging that story. Therefore, I am the one in the wrong. That's the third principle. And yes, it can be that ridiculous. So that is our 3 principles. If you want to hear me ramble more about these, go all the way back to the very first video in the series. I will try to link that somewhere. And there should be a playlist. You should go watch the whole playlist. All of them. Watch all my videos. And yeah, that'll give you a little bit more explanation. Usually it's the first 30 minutes of the video I ramble. Some of you say you like it. Go watch my videos. It helps me pay my editor. And we're on day 6. Day 6, let's get into it. This is cryptozoology. I've started my classes. I think I've already said that. And I'm in my bachelor classes, which are mostly on metaphysics. They're basically like the intro courses. It's like basically what the hell the IMHS is, what metaphysics means to the IMHS, and what the definition of metaphysics is going to be going forward, which is really important because we've got to establish language and language use early, so that when I get into my master's classes, I know what the language is going forward in my master's classes, so that I don't accidentally use the wrong terminology. But once I get into my master's classes, that's where the fun classes are. That's where the anomaly investigation classes are, the aliens classes, and the cryptozoology classes. And we get to pick a crypto creature. And if you can figure out what the crypto creature is from all the weird shit that I have in my background here, you win a prize. That prize is imaginary, but you win it. I've got Conrad sped up to time and a quarter. I do have the subtitles running. I know some of you, well, nobody's complained about them yet. Let me put it that way. They help me out. Also, Conrad types up his own transcripts. Sorry, Conrad types up their own transcripts. And so sometimes there's little things written in, and I usually back them up so I can read them. They're pretty funny. They're pretty damn funny. Someday I'll have someone else who does that for me, and I will too. I will also have funny transcripts, but today is not that day. Day 6. I need water.
Damn it, my back is killing me.
We'll get some later.
Yesterday bled me dry between the endless loops of nonsense rationalizing and Douglas's parade of unreasonable frickin' opinions.
If you don't know, which you might not at this point, I don't know how far along or how well you've been following this. Conrad did all 10 classes of their metaphysical PhD all in a row. Hypothetically. Theoretically. I don't know. I was going to try doing it. We'll talk. But I am cramming them all in as much as I can. And yeah, so when you hear Conrad complaining about day after day after day, it's because Conrad did a class every day. And some of the classes are a little bit more time involved than the others. A little bit.
I was about ready to walk off into the night and never look back. But still, I was amped up for the last two subjects, for this to end, cryptids and paranormal investigations. Today was the former. We're talking Bigfoot, Nessie, the Mothman, and anything else that so many people claim to have seen, but curiously only while holding the world's worst cameras with the world's shakiest hands.
Hey now, if you get to see it clearly, then you might actually be able to debunk me.
The study of these unproven creatures is called cryptozoology, and as Douglas notes, it is not considered a real branch of science, which I guess is a good thing because, also according to Douglas, science just hasn't been thinking critically about things, even when something is clearly happening.
As can be expected, the field of cryptozoology is considered to be pseudoscience by the mainstream scientific community, but this really means nothing. We discuss pseudoscience in course MHS B1, the first
Oh yeah, we did.
bachelor's course, and we will discuss the failings of mainstream science later in this course.
What did we talk about pseudoscience in the first course? I know we brought it up. I went through my notes. Don't believe me. To be fair, though, this quote that I'm about to read you apparently also comes off the Wikipedia page. So, is metaphysics a pseudoscience? This is in our section 2 of the first class. Come on, there it is. As a result, science is quick to denounce a number of disciplines as pseudoscience or non-science. Pseudoscience basically refers to anything that might appear to be scientific but has no scientific basis or is not reproducible using the scientific method as pseudoscience. I think I just was redundant there. Among the fields that science considers to be pseudoscience are astrology, cryptozoology, psychokinesis, ESP, ufology, parapsychology. Really? No, wait, not parapsychology. Psychology? Psychoanalysis, chiropractic, yes, alternative healing, homeopathy, hypnosis, crystal and faith healing, anything religious. I don't consider religious anything as science. Religion and science are not the same thing. The polygraph and many others. Again, this is off of Wikipedia, which would explain the weird things there. But this is talking about metaphysics. So metaphysics is both a philosophy and apparently a science. I'm confused. And it's okay. It's okay that you're confused too. It is easy to see the metaphysical nature of the foregoing fields, and this begs the question, are these and other fields truly pseudoscience? Well, using science's definition of the term, yes. Okay. However, science is simply one belief system among many. It's not a belief system, much like it is not a religion, and religion is not a science. Sorry, Wikipedia. It's not a belief system. Contrary to popular belief, science itself is not God. It is not. It also cannot prove God. These things do not coexist. And it often has double standards. It doesn't, though. It has the scientific method. The scientific method demands repeatability and evidence, among a few other things, but usually psychic phenomena cannot fall into those categories. It is neither repeatable or provides evidence. Another example is ufology. After sending a number of probes throughout the solar system, scientists currently have no problem accepting that the universe is teeming with life. I did learn. They also highly suspect that an ocean exists on Enceladus, a tiny moon of Saturn, along with an assumption of probable life. That is not actually what is said. But there is an ocean on said moon whose name I cannot pronounce because it is Greek, I think. I don't fucking know. But it could potentially have life. It could potentially support life, the ocean, not the moon. So those are two very different statements. Along with an assumption of probable life is very different from could potentially support life. Very different statements. But I had to look that one up. I was like, oh, because I didn't believe it. I was like, bullshit. And I looked that one up and I was like, oh, I learned a thing today. Look at me learning. But yeah, so the point being our definition of pseudoscience, well, using science's definition of the term, yes, it does. And that comes out of our own documentation for our class, which would be B1 from the very first class, the class that he just cited here. But go.
Off to a rough start. There's a good reason why things are considered pseudoscience, and an outright rejection of that without due explanation makes me feel like maybe Douglas wasn't able to come up with a competent one.
The excuse is because science is just one belief system. Someone didn't pay attention to their B1 class, Dr. Conrad. I only remember because I just went over the class.
Sometimes Douglas says something that feels like it makes perfect sense to him, but to everyone else, it's just the most batshit paragraph you'll ever read. Here, he's discussing how important it is to be cross-trained in various paranormal studies. You know, so you can ignore all the most simple and logical explanations and instead jump to many other conclusions that are much more exciting.
What if you investigate a Bigfoot sighting, where UFOs were also sighted at the same time? Is this a cryptozoological event, or a UFO event? There have been quite a few reports over the years of Bigfoot sightings connected to UFO sightings. What is the connection?
Yeah. The connection is that people who believe in aliens visiting Earth are simply more likely to believe that the guy in a Cookie Monster hoodie they saw is a Bigfoot.
Damn you, Cookie Monster.
Stomping around the forest, selling hairy foot pics on X, the everything app. Although Bigfoot is selling big feet pics, they're probably blurry as hell. Try getting a clear shot of something said to be wandering around Yosemite, and all of a sudden, nobody can hold a camera. In the eccentric circles of paranormal hunters, those smudged out-of-focus shots have a name. They call them Blobsquatches. And by my count, they make up their whole damn portfolio.
Blobsquach. That's what I'm hunting. I believe in Blobsquach.
To the point that we may as well just call the cryptid itself Blobsquach.
I'm going to.
I'm minoring.
I wonder how many people I'm going to piss off with that. I live in Pennsylvania. There are so many bumper stickers for Bigfoot. I'm going to keep that one to myself.
In Blobsquatchology, which is probably why Douglas goes on to tell us that we need not concern ourselves with questionable evidence, the scientific method, or the falsifiability of claims. In fact,
you know, the founding principles of science.
We should abandon these things altogether.
In our efforts to discover whatever truths exist, we as serious researchers must abandon the closed-minded belief systems of mainstream science and return to the true scientific method.
That is literally the scientific method. I mean, the true scientific method. Okay, we came over to Dr. K's favorite website for citing sources, and that would be Wikipedia. This says this diagram represents one variant, and there are many others of the scientific method. The scientific method is an ongoing process. Once you finish it, you start it over again. But you have your observation and/or question, aka your hypothesis. Then you go into your research topic area. Wait. This is not the one I know. What is this? Fuck this. This is wrong. It's still a process. All right, so you've got your observation question, right? You make an observation. And so you decide to go research it, right? You pull your shit together. You gather all your crap together. You make your hypothesis. Your hypothesis is your educated guess. If X, then Y, right? That's your hypothesis. But your hypothesis has to be able to fail. You can't have a hypothesis that has no chance of failure. If your hypothesis can't fail, it's not a hypothesis, right? So the way that you find out if your hypothesis is good or not, i.e. if it fails or not, if it succeeds or not, is then you go and test it. You test it, hopefully multiple times. It's even better if you can test it and then pass that same hypothesis and testing methods on to another group of people, and they also perform the same test under the same circumstances, i.e. repeatability. And they too then get similar, if not the same results as you did. And then you can compare your results together. This is good. This is what you want. That's how science works the best. And then you analyze your data from said tests, hopefully to compare then, and then you report your conclusions. And then you find out if your hypothesis holds up or not. Did your hypothesis hold up to your question? Like, did you say, if X then Y, did Y happen? Did X and then Y, or did X and then Z? If X and then Z, then your hypothesis failed. And you got to go back to the drawing board. Figure out why. Why didn't happen? Why didn't Y happen? Well, your hypothesis was wrong, basically. So you got to come up with a new one. Ergo, the process continues, right? It's an ongoing process, right? The process is still the same. It doesn't change because it's the scientific fucking method that was developed back in like the 1600s or something stupid like that. Hopefully that got cut in a way that I don't look like a total drooling idiot. But my point stands. There is only the scientific method. That is the true scientific method. There is no other scientific method. Anything else is pseudoscience. I know Dr. K doesn't like that. I know I'm violating principle 3. I know I am challenging the charismatic authority, moral authority here. I know that. I know I am the skeptic. I know I am the debunker. I understand. I am violating the third principle of para-anthropology.
Which is the open-minded search to discover and explain reality, whatever that means and wherever that takes us.
That's not a method. There's no method there.
Again, that's not a method. That's a mission statement. It
Right.
provides no scientific guidelines on how to distinguish between useful techniques
Uh-huh.
and useless ones.
Uh-huh.
And that seems to really align with keeping Douglas's worldview intact
Right.
and to keep us going in the course without incredulity standing in our way, which I assume benefits the Institute, as courses can be taken one at a time and further payment isn't guaranteed if a student is unhappy. So apparently a lot of people are partial to Sasquatch or Big Feet. Kind of a fixation, I guess, with Big Feet. There's probably a better word for it, but I wouldn't know anything about that.
You are encouraged to choose a primary cryptid of interest and possibly a small handful of secondary cryptids in the beginning. For example, many cryptozoologists favor Sasquatch or Bigfoot. According to the now defunct website squatchopedia.com, hominology is the study of hominids.
The way Douglas could just say things like, according to the now defunct website, sasquatchopedia.com, without an ounce of apparent self-awareness of how truly funny it is so impressive.
Compelling evidence for the existence of Bigfoot are rocks and sticks thrown at field investigators, handprints on their vehicles, potential Bigfoot vocalizations, and the numerous eyewitness reports made around the world, many by credible witnesses.
Again, going back to our second principle, the principle of experiential narrative sovereignty. Literally all of the evidence for Bigfoot is experiential narrative sovereignty. Kind of like with aliens. We have no scientific evidence. Good job. We have no scientific evidence for Bigfoot. Big feet, Sasquatch, what have you. But what we do have is a whole lot of stories and a whole lot of blurry pictures and a whole lot of nothing. But gosh darn it, Blobsquach is real. Blobsquach is real, goddammit. I believe in Blobsquach. I'm going with it.
Yeah, I can picture it now, clear as day. Some chicken little flapping their gums, crying Bigfoot, because earlier in the woods, a twig fell from a tree and landed near them, as a bird screeched nearby. And
So, have we all seen the video of the cop that was completely ballistic, literally, because an acorn fell on the top of his car? Yeah, it's kind of like that. Only not quite as deadly. He didn't actually, thankfully, hurt anyone, but... which is why it's so goddamn funny. But kind of the same thing.
in a panic, they ran back to their car. Then they freeze. Plain as day, there's a handprint on the window. Something that could only be made by a creature with hands. Sasquatch. But this course is about true science, not nonsense. So Douglas does prepare you for if you find actual evidence, like a Sasquatch footprint. Douglas details how you estimate its height, citing a non-defunct, but probably should be website, bigfootlives.com. Amazing. If you like the kind of Batboy journalism you can usually find in the grocery store checkout.
Batboy! I love Batboy. I would say Batboy was like, did you know Batboy got married? Okay, Batboy was my first cryptid, okay? We all remember our first cryptid, all right? Batboy was my first cryptid. Where is Batboy these days? I know Batboy got married. Did Batboy have babies? Are there baby Batboys? There needs to be.
Goat Rags, this site's for you. For example, Polish Yeti caught spying on bikini girl.
The Polish Yeti, allegedly roaming the Tatra Mountains, has been spotted again already. Earlier this week, the Morning Star reported how 27-year-old Piotr Kowalski from Warsaw spotted an ape-like
Warsaw?
creature hiding amongst rocks up in the Tatra Mountains. Now, 19-year-old Justina Folger has come forward with a video of her on a camping trip in the same area. Folger reported to Super Express how the hairy creature stalked her as she swanned around in her bikini as her boyfriend filmed with his free hand.
With his free hand, you say? What was the other hand doing? Why would you leave that detail in? Why do I need to know it's his free hand? Why do I need to know the other one is occupied? What is it occupied with? Because it's not the camera. Oh shit. Why? Why are these things? Why?
Or this piece of spectacular journalism.
Is this Bigfoot? Or is it a bear with bad skin?
It's a bear with bad skin.
Is furry, lives in the woods, and walks on all fours.
It's a bear with bad skin.
Beyond that, there are no hard facts about the furtive creature spotted prowling around the foot of a tree in Pennsylvania.
It's a bear with bad skin. Hey, Pennsylvania.
But its mysterious appearance has prompted a storm of speculation and prompted many Bigfoot believers to grab their cameras and head for the woods.
You know what you should do when there's a bear with bad skin? Guaranteed to be, irritable, ticked off, easily irritated. You should go poke it. You should go hunt that thing down and poke it a few times. Are you Bigfoot? Are you Bigfoot? That will not end badly.
Others, however, believe it is just a bear with bad skin. The animal was photographed by Rick Jacobs. I couldn't figure out what it was, he said, but I've been hunting for years and I've never seen anything like this. Mr. Jacobs contacted the Bigfoot Research Organization, which pursues reports of the legendary two-legged creature, also known as the Sasquatch, that some people believe lives in parts of the US and Canada. It appears to be a primate-like animal. In my opinion, it appears to be a juvenile Sasquatch, said Paul Mejeda of the Bigfoot Group.
Now, this is not to say that there's never been an animal thought not to exist or to no longer exist that has then been validated to have been or still be real. Douglas, he's got this pitch, says cryptozoology is the real deal, claims it walks ahead of zoology, blazing trails into the dark where science hasn't shined its light yet. He paints a picture where the cryptozoologists do the chasing, and once they bag the truth, the zoologists swoop in with lab coats and clipboards to make it all official. As if zoologists are FBI agents taking all the credit for a case that was actually solved by some overzealous, plucky girl who listens to murder podcasts all day. But that doesn't hold up. It's zoologists who are the ones finding new or long-dead animals, and even in the listicles Douglas relies on instead of covering the subject himself, many of the claims are unsupported by science, or the historical record, or even the listicle itself. Like, for instance, the site Douglas pawned off the lesson plan on refers to kangaroos as former cryptids.
Early explorers to Australia described bizarre creatures never before seen by Europeans. They wrote of creatures with heads like deer that stood upright like men and hopped like frogs. The creatures sometimes sported two heads, one on their shoulders and one on the stomach. Such accounts were understandably disregarded and ridiculed by fellow colleagues. That changed in the 1770s, when a dead specimen of this odd beast was exhibited in England as a public curiosity. Today, this creature is known as the kangaroo.
What they mean is, Western colonizers didn't recognize the animal, so it was a cryptid, despite indigenous populations knowing exactly what they were and how incredibly common they are. Some people love to assume that if they haven't heard of something, it doesn't exist. That's like going to England and seeing a pug and deciding it's a mythical creature called a flat-faced skull failure, when really, it's just an everyday mistake.
Can I help you? Is there something that you need? Hi. Hi. How are you? That's my mouth. Yes. Yes. I am trying to make a critical video here. You are not helping. Oof. Hello. No, don't knock over my water. This is not distracting at all. Thanks.
But even then, there's very little evidence there was much of any pushback about the existence of a kangaroo. I'm sure people were skeptical about the creature with a head growing out of its stomach, and guess what? They should have been. Such a creature literally does not exist. So, though this is held up by cryptozoologists as an example of skepticism being a form of ignorance, the opposite is true. The skeptics, if there were any, were right. How about this one?
The devil bird, or ulama, is a frightening horned bird of Sri Lankan folklore. This elusive creature is rarely seen, but is often heard in the form of its infamous, blood-curdling screams. Its cries are said to resemble a wailing woman and are perceived by locals as an omen of death. For centuries, the nocturnal cries of the devil bird were the only evidence of its existence. Western science wrote it off as mere superstition. Then, in 2001, the devil bird was identified as a new species of owl, the spot-bellied eagle owl.
It had the ring of truth, if you didn't look too hard. Seems almost convincing until you do a lick of research. The locals heard a terrifying screech, a sound that is more supernatural than natural, as the call is said to portend death of those nearby, or so the story went. Nobody ever saw the thing, not clearly, just shadows and shivers and the echo of a cry that didn't sound like it belonged in nature. Which, when the spot-bellied eagle was discovered, certain cryptozoologists claimed this must be the devil in question. It was a real bird, all right.
The devil. The devil is an owl. This one's going to go by pretty fast, actually. I don't really have a whole lot to add to it, to be honest with you. Did you want to add something to the cryptozoology? No review. I don't. Thanks. Please don't take out my mic. Thanks.
But not the one from the stories. No trail of bodies in its wake. No cursed howls to chill your blood. The pieces didn't fit, no matter how hard they tried to jam them together. This is what desperation looks like. Trying to peg a round hole with a square peg. Throwing out all logic and reason in order to justify your beliefs. Clinging to a story because it's easier than facing the facts. When belief runs dry, people start to twist the truth, squeeze it
Sorry.
until it screams, just to keep their narrative alive. I was starting to realize that this course walked into my office wearing someone else's coat, and that coat was not flattering. Half the content belonged to strangers, lifted from websites, and hours of borrowed YouTube videos. Then there were Douglas's life coaching slides, jammed in like cheap filler to stretch the clock. I came looking for a catalog of creatures, a real rogues gallery of crawlies and curiosities, but what I found was far less compelling than I had hoped. I should have known better. Douglas has not once shown that he understands the meaning of the word compelling.
I'm looking forward to the cryptozoology course anyway, but like I said, I got to get through my bachelor's first. I got to get my bachelor's first, you guys. I don't really have a whole lot to add here. I really don't, other than my cat, apparently.
That's what I get for having expectations and thinking the Institute was going to meet them. Other than Douglas covering basic taxonomy, the course was a flop for me. So I moved on to the exam. Okay, so I just got a 99.6 on the exam, although I'm not feeling too accomplished, what with questions like this being on it.
How did you get a 99.6? How did you not get a 100?
Serious and professional cryptozoologists do not take blank along with them on investigations. Select one. In-laws.
Yes.
Conviction.
Yes.
Preconceived notions.
Right.
Refreshments.
In-laws, the boomer dad's go-to joke. But actually, it's perfectly okay to bring your in-laws to an investigation in the woods. And here's a little tip. You can leave them there. This also applies to stepchildren.
The true scientific method is defined as the open-minded search to discover and explain reality. Whatever that means and wherever that takes us. Select one. True. False.
The answer is false, but I don't want to upset the inventor of the true scientific method, so I lied. I'd still not gotten used to it. It went against my sensibilities, but it comes with the territory when you're neck deep in a course that wants the wrong answers spoon-fed and sugar-coated. You say what they want to hear, not what you know is right. And when they hand you that passing grade, it's like getting a trophy for playing the fool. I guess that's why they call it fool's gold. The exam was over, but my night wasn't. I had one last job to do. An assignment. Pick a local cryptid and file a field report. Simple on paper, in reality, dull as hell. Like writing a book report on a book that's never been written. Inspired by my night at the lake, I chose Metrosaurus, a large serpent said to live in Lake Ontario. But unlike Nessie, the Metrosaurus loves shopping and fashion and is very concerned about his heterosexual appearance, even if no one's ever going to see it. They say its skin's dark. Some say blue-gray, like a whale. Others swear it's brown, like a blue-gray whale that's brown. It's fast, real fast, strong too, strong enough to break the surface and leap into the air like a torpedo with teeth.
I like how we're just running with it.
In that size, pulling off a stunt like that means power, grace, danger. More likely, it was a log or a long-ass fish, maybe just a damn aquatic snake. But I wasn't actually going to go on a hunt for something that wasn't there. My interest in cryptozoology was satiated, and I found it much less captivating than any of the other subjects I had taken. Truth be told, I think I'm just itching for the end at this point. It felt
No, don't give up. Never give up. Never surrender.
Like I was never going to escape. I was losing track of days. How long had it even
Really? Are you content with life now? That was my fidget toy. Now it's hers.
been? A year? A decade? 5 days? It was impossible to tell. The longer I sat, the more I remembered why school always rubbed me the wrong way. Back then, they tried stuffing my head with things I'd never use, and worse than that, things I never cared to know. I forced myself to do another daily psychic meditation, but my brain was too loud for my heart to be in it, and the lights took their time, were dim when they came. And by a week into this, I was already left wanting, hungry, a lingering sense of emptiness in my gut.
I love these so much. I can't tell you how much I love these.
Which is when it hit me. The gnawing in my gut wasn't existential dread or some metaphor for longing. It was just hunger. Plain, dull,
Oops,
human
sorry.
hunger. I hate to admit it, but yeah, I craved answers, sure. But I also just
Ooh, what
needed
does
a
he make
glass
it?
of water, some protein, and my bed.
Ooh.
If everything played out the way it was supposed to, tomorrow will be the last real day
Is that a shepherd's pie? Oh, I want shepherd's pie.
of schoolwork. The dissertation didn't count, just 10 questions and 1,000 words pretending to be something bigger. But I couldn't shake this terrible feeling creeping over me. The kind that settles in and won't leave, like smoke in your wallpaper or someone living in your walls. Maybe this is what Douglas was talking about. My higher self trying to impart some knowledge or wisdom on me. I
Your
couldn't see
psychic.
something
Your psychic abilities are developing.
just out of reach. And the more I tried to ignore it, the louder it got. You're missing something, it said. You're missing something.
So we got through it pretty fast, so I still don't have anything to add to it, other than I'm looking forward to going through it myself. So this was actually a pretty quick video. Yay! All right. If you have made it this far in the video, go ahead and put your favorite. I think there's a bunch of different like little monstery kind of emojis there. Go ahead and put your favorite little monster cryptio emoji down in the comment section. I don't know, if you could study a cryptid, which one would you study? Which would be your favorite? Or if you don't have a favorite, what's your, because every state I think has a cryptid. So if you don't have a favorite cryptid, what's your state's cryptid? I think Pennsylvania is the squonk, which is, I think it's kind of cute actually. It's well, it's not actually the point. It's a creature that's so ugly, if it sees its own reflection, it will cry itself into a puddle of tears. Very effective. So yeah, if I have to like study a bunch of different cryptids, of course we have our beloved Mothman, but I think I'll also focus on the squonk because why not? I think it's called the squonk or the squiggly. I'm pretty sure it's the squonk. But anyway, yeah, go ahead and leave a monster or your favorite cryptid emoji down in the comment section down below. What's your state's cryptid or what's your favorite cryptid if you were going to study it? And yeah, any questions or comments you might have had, just use a timestamp for me. So I will see everybody in the next one. I think we might get these done today. Exciting, isn't it? All right, see everybody later.
This
Bye.
is my outro music. You can't copyright strike me because it's just me singing. This is my outro music. Thank you for watching. See you next time.